Note the disclaimer.
Quiet on the set, and we're rolling.
Through environmental clues, we know this isn't a set. So why are you claiming it is one? And more importantly, why is your voice echoing like you're in a closed-off room when you're clearly outside?
You can tell that someone who works in voiceover probably hasn't seen an actual recording set, but yes, even if you're outside, it is a film set. The only difference between the set and the rest of the outside world is it's closed off to only allow the cast and crew, sometimes with security holding the fans back, that want to see their favourite actors. As for the comment about the director, he's likely talking through a megaphone.
We're a reality film crew.
Also, calling documentaries reality films. Actually, no. These days, that fits. So this is for the fact that documentaries have become reality films.
Ooh, a bait and switch. That's new. But reality films are staged or manipulated situations presented as unscripted events, while documentaries are portraying non-fictionalized reality. But since you misunderstand the movie world and the animated world in several different forms, I'm just going to say this right away. This isn't our reality.
Whoa, what is that?
Speaking fluent English, but not knowing what a microphone is.
Cody here is from Antarctica, and they rarely get film crews like this where he lives. So he's not going to grasp the concept of a microphone, a clapperboard, or various lighting rigs.
Like what? Like singing and dancing?
Yeah. Making fun of Happy Feet. How dare you, sir? Mumble is a treasure. Adjust your attitude and come to the right side of history, bro.
Did you actually say that with a straight face? Also arbitrary movie reference.
So as soon as there was the first wave, right? There was the first surfer.
Evolution deniers.
Objection relevance. He's talking about how he thinks surfing began, since the interviewer asked what his thoughts were. And I'm not even going to finish the sin here as he brings up his college girlfriend. Again.
Could you tell us who Big Z was?
Yes, Mr. Intrusive Documentarian, who has to include his own voice in the movie so it doesn't get a narration sin. I will tell you all the expositional things you require about Big Z.
There's the exposition sin. I knew that was going to come up. However, the issue is, this is an interview, and this particular question Cody was asked explains how he got invested in the sport and why he wants to compete, despite living in the area he does. Also, he still sins this scene for narration, even though he does it through his entire video roster, as well as the fact that, as clarified earlier, this isn't narration. They just cut the audio from Cody's interview with clips of surfers and Big Z, just like a real documentary would. But then you'd probably sin David Attenborough for narration, you utter monster.
Could have walked up to anyone. And he walks right up to me.
I mean, technically it looks like you walked up to him, but potato, potato, tomato, tomato, penguin, penwing.
I didn't realise Benedict Cumberbatch was making a cameo in this video. But in all seriousness, Cody, being a curious young chick, after seeing Z surf to the island, probably wanted to get a better look while Z was still walking up to Cody, technically.
Ice would make a terrible surfboard, not only because it's a slick surface, but because its shape and balance would be continuously changing throughout the ride as parts of it melted. In this animated comedy film about surfing penguins, it's these ice surfboards that really keep it from being a classic.
I would agree with you if this was at Bondi or Malibu Beach, but this set of scenes takes place in Antarctica, where temperatures average out at -10 to -30 degrees Celsius in winter, and 0 degrees Celsius in summer. It's an area covered in snow and ice, so it would be cold enough to make the ice board keep its shape. And you're saying this as if people don't like this movie. It's one of my favourites from Sony Pictures Animation, alongside Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, but you're attempting to use logic here that ice surfboards are keeping this film from becoming a classic, even though it's in Antarctica, and Cody ends up making a proper surfboard with koa wood later on in the film.
I was born and raised here in Shiverpool.
Choosing Shiverpool over Ice Castle upon Brine.
Okay, that was actually quite clever of you there, Jeremy. But then I remember that you're the same guy that refused to acknowledge dialects in the Flushed Away video you did, and called Jeremy Clarkson Jeremy Piven in your first Cars video, one I'm hoping to cover later. So for this, I will neither add or remove sin here.
I worked my way up from the sardine pile, then to the mackerel pile, and I ended up on the gefilte fish pile. All hard work.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Jeremy sings in a video cliche.
What is this camera and crew floating on, and why would you set up this shot out here like this with all the equipment? Most people know to keep electrical equipment away from open containers, let alone the open ocean.
First off, he seems to suggest all the camera crew went out there when it would probably only have been at least one or two in scuba suits and just treading water while holding the camera, mostly to get some dynamic shots of Cody's practice. Secondly, Jeremy doesn't seem to realise that there are waterproof containers to keep these cameras in for underwater shots like these examples here.
Cody!
It's really disrespectful.
This is what happens when you don't pony up for Morgan Freeman, people.
And yet, he's not immune from being sinned for being in the Lego movie, as Captain Vader points out. So why would that suddenly be a good thing here?
Alright, I'm not going to mention this the whole time, but since the movie set up the whole fourth wall, docufilm stuff, I have to at least ask, where are all the cameras catching this? This scene goes from this shot to this shot to this shot and then to this shot. I'm adding 10 sins for all the future camera shenanigans.
Like I said earlier, camera operators in scuba suits. Or maybe just regular penguins going out into the water with waterproof cases on their cameras to get dynamic shots, with the inclusion of static shots from other operators back on the shore. They need as many angles as possible to create this documentary, much like how directors will say they need as many shots as possible in their movies before sending it to the editors who cut the entire thing together, also padding the sin count. And spoiler alert, this camera shenanigan sinning doesn't end. He continues this through the rest of the video.
Reggie stands up and apparently shows off his OtterBox, so the docu crew blurs it. But how many penguins, male and female, have we already seen completely nude by this point with no blurring necessary? Not gonna lie, seems like a double standard.
The gag is that Reggie is coming out of a bath wearing nothing, while the penguins are wearing board shorts and rash vests since they're surfing.
This is Sal Masekela.
Thinking you can get away with Sal Masekela, Kelly Slater, and Rob Machado just playing themselves but as penguins without specifically indicating whether or not we all have penguin doppelgangers in this universe.
It's a cameo, dude. And they're going to show up here since it's a surfing-based movie. Just like how Bob Costas and Daryl Waltrip voice car versions of themselves in Cars. Sigourney Weaver playing herself in Finding Dory, and Shaq in the Lego movie.
Section behind me, it's called the Boneyards. Very few surfers have ventured in there and come out alive.
Sure, lazily exposit about the dangerous thing that you should definitely not be holding this competition next to, but are gonna do it anyway, because it will be important to manufacturing tension later in the movie.
They explicitly mentioned that this is a no-surf area by having a boundary line stationed a few meters away, as well as the fact that any surfer who ventures into it and doesn't die usually gets disqualified from the competition anyway.
You never want to get in there and, help them out and show them how to surf and spend some time with the kids.
No, I don't want to do that.
Tank would absolutely shred at CinemaSins.
Because he destroys the hopes and dreams of kids? Yeah, I'd say he fits in there really well.
Coming up after the break, Penguin Dodgeball.
Movie never delivers on Penguin Dodgeball, which would have been 1,000% more interesting than whatever this movie is doing.
They don't show the Penguin Dodgeball because that's not the point or the primary sport of this movie. If you wanted to watch Dodgeball, then go watch Dodgeball, a true underdog story.
Sticking your head into someone's hole without explicit consent.
Ooh, Jeremy makes an inappropriate comment cliche.
Does anybody in this entire frozen wasteland surf?
This is terrible recruiting. There's no plan here. You can't just walk around random areas calling out, hoping to run into exactly what you're looking for. That's basically my entire dating strategy, and let's just say I haven't been tube riding in a very long time.
Good God, man. Second time in 2 sins. No wonder you haven't had any action.
Well, anytime now!
He says to someone trying to surf in a still ocean, "What is this scene? In what world does Cody take his surfboard out into this? And why would the scout expect him to do anything? Dude literally found a surfer and was like, oh, well, no waves in the 5 seconds I was out here. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya."
So what was the sin here? A bunch of questions that I couldn't even follow? And as for the search and ditch, Mikey was already dubious of Kobe's abilities after first meeting him, and he was already worried about becoming a birdsicle and wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible. He wasn't going to wait around for a bunch of waves so a young surfing punk can prove himself. at least until the whale sets off and Cody follows behind it on the waves.
I mean, I was doing some layback 360s and floaters.
Poop euphemisms. Poofemisms?
First off, ew. Secondly, no. And here's the proof.
What kind of suction voodoo is this? Cody gains traction climbing straight up a slick whale skin with slick fins and no opposable thumbs. Was he bitten by an underwater radioactive spider on that swim?
Say it with me now. This isn't our reality.
Don't you ever do anything like that in the contest, all right?
But why would he ever be chasing a whale during a surfing contest? This is like telling me not to watch a human centipede movie. He couldn't force feed me that shit.
What I took from that is Jeremy saw Human Centipede after someone told him not to. I'm too disgusted for words or logical reasoning here.
Butt freeze!
Chickenimus. No? Cloac cleanses?
I mean, it's not bad. It kind of tastes like chicken.
What the hell? Has Cody eaten chicken in a world where chickens are fellow sentient beings? I get the movie is trying to make this a joke, but if you stop for 1 second and think about how psychotic it is that he just eats other races occasionally, there's no way we could accept Cody as anything but the Edward Penguin of the avian world.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a joke. If you're reading this much into it, I'd say you're the one with the problem.
Coming through! Oh, crap.
Writers have Lonnie stop to look at Cody because the power of Lady Penguin boners is stronger than a desire to save a drowning child. Not that I disagree, but I should.
That is wildly incorrect, as she's never even met Cody yet. And she stops because she forgot her rescue boy. Also, you're suggesting Lonnie doesn't care about us saving a child? Even when she does so right after? Also, Jeremy says boner.
Help me! I'm drowning!
Kids.
Wait. You've been sinning the film for being unrealistic, and now it's given you an example of the opposite, and you're still not happy?
That's Big Z's shrine. Remember?
Yeah, no, not really.
Don't worry, now that the movie needs some more exposition, it will remember it's a documentary.
Hang on, I'm lost. You're sinning a movie for exposition, even though it's a documentary?
I'll take you on any time, anywhere!
Hey, the 80s called and asked if they could have their new guy takes on the bully in insert random contest here trope back.
Oh, hey, Jeremy. David Spade called. He wants his joke back.
Bring it on, Peckerface. Let's go.
Peckerface?
Yes, because you're a bird and you peck with your face. And it's hilarious because penis reference in a kid's movie.
So a film for general audiences isn't allowed to have adult humour? And this is right in your wheelhouse, CinemaSins, so why are you getting snippy with it?
And I hope the camera's rolling, because you're going to want to watch it over and over and over and over again.
I love this gag of replaying his fall over and over again because he said it. That being said, the tank was definitely carving much more aggressively and exiting the tube in the previous shots as opposed to the last one.
This counts as sinning something you like, by the way.
It's going to be awesome.
Pride comes before the literal fall cliche.
Arbitrary Bible reference. Oh, wait, really? I'm still counting it.
What do you guys think about Cody going into a contest and possibly winning?
Someone help me understand the timeline here. So the documentary crew randomly went to Shiverpool and just recorded interviews with this unknown surfer and family and covered what they thought about him being in a contest. Then, when a scout just happened to visit, the documentary crew shot him not doing well and got on the whale headed back without a second thought about Cody. At which point, Cody then chased down the whale and just happened to now find himself in a situation where all the interview footage previously recorded from home now fits into his story perfectly. Well, that's convenient.
And let me guess. Sinful?
Or bullshit.
Oh. Anyway, a documentary film crew cuts the interview segments in between various action shots when the question topic is relevant to what the previous scene showed. The doco crew have been there to film Cody, meanwhile SPEN camera crews, without using their watermarks, would have been following Mikey and the whale as well as the other surf-off contestants. So the doco crew would have most likely had to find another bit of transportation, likely a helicopter, hence some of the overhead footage. The doco crew didn't ditch Cody, it was the SPEN crew that did that.
Geek! Geek, get up and help me!
Depending on the Geek Squad.
Jealous?
Also, the documentary crew is so committed to their craft that they are just going to film Cody dying. I'd sin this in an actual documentary too.
And we're back to sinning reality. For crying out loud, do you want it to be realistic or not? Pick a lane. Also, it's probably worth noting that since you mentioned no medical staff aside from Lani being a lifeguard, it's likely that the doco crew don't have any advanced first aid or surf life-saving certifications, and probably similar for a lot of the SPEN's film crews. The only other option would have been the now retired from surfing Big Z.
Step dummy? Are you kidding?
Fire urchins are sentient? Does this mean all life here is sentient? The squids? The fish they were chopping up?
Yes.
Dude, have you seen my friend Cody?
Discount Hey Hey here continues to try and milk as many laughs as possible from acting like he's wasted. Nothing else. That's the entire bit.
I mean, why else did it look like he has the munchies? And this is from him passed out at the thought of Cody bleeding, not coming down from a high.
Yeah, so I woke up this morning, I didn't know where I was, and it's never, like, a good place to be when you wake up,
If the kids get this reference, their parents have failed them. If the kids don't get this reference, then the movie has failed them. So, this sin is for the mystery of how any generation ever grows up to be productive or sane.
Well, there's always going to be outliers, sadly.
I'm not going to play it for you, but the movie is now using a song about picking yourself up and trying again after one failed contest 25 minutes in. It would have gotten a sin for pulling this modern song exposits the emotions of the main character cliche nonsense either way, but at least do me the favor of wooing me for more than a half an hour before you slap that thing in my face.
So you're still sinning it. It's not like we didn't know this was coming, but Cody was even saying he wasn't sure he was up for it after that performance.
That's koa wood. There's surfboards in the world are made of that stuff.
Well, holy shit. What are the odds that the main character would just be sitting on a log of the best surfboard wood in what just happens to be a movie about surfing? Can you believe it?
Oh no, I could not believe it. What a shock. Come on, Jeremy. Sure, it's convenient, but everything in a movie is. It's to get it finished quicker so it doesn't hum and haw and become a stagnant, boring mess, like you so clearly want them to be. Birdman, Captain Vader, and Luke Doherty would explain this better than me, though, so ask them.
Why are there chicken restaurants if chickens are self-aware? What is this dark world you've spawned, Sony?
It's a joke. You're supposed to laugh at it?
This scene is lies. They shoot it at the perfect angle to make it look like it's a cliff, then they subvert the implied danger by having Cody and Zeke respectively hop and fall down a harmless hill. This is why I don't trust documentaries.
Well, the camera operators aren't supposed to interfere. They only do so in reality shows when things go wrong. In nature, however, you can't interfere. As for us, the subversion happened when Z climbed back up after the fall happened, which told us that he must have either landed on a ridge or it wasn't that steep of a fall.
This coconut ukulele that has been left in the elements and full of sand is in tune.
Well, Jeremy doesn't know guitars. That didn't sound in tune to me, and I wouldn't be surprised since that had been left alone in the elements for 10 years. Most musicians leave their guitars alone for one day and have to retune them.
A winner is somebody who doesn't knock me off my surfboard.
A winner is someone who wins. They enter a competitive agreement and come out in first. But sure, documentary, spend the next 5 minutes using the definition of winner as some sort of treatise on human nature. That's exactly what I was hoping for when I bought my ticket to the Surfing Penguin movie.
You didn't buy a ticket for this, you're just watching it on a streaming service. And as for the comment about the definition of winner, the doco crew were asking everyone's thoughts about what it meant to be a winner, which for these young penguins means good sportsmanship, for Cody it means finding solutions to whatever problem you're experiencing, and for the self-obsessed Tank Evans, it means boosting his ego.
These are my ladies. This is Jill. This is my lady, Amy.
Trophy wives.
That's sexist.
No, he's out here. I can feel it in my nuggets.
Yes, because you're a chicken, and chicken nuggets are a thing, and nuggets might mean balls, and it's hysterical because testicle reference in a kid's movie.
Gotta give some winks to the adults.
I guess they're royal hot tub?
This is supposed to be a cannibalism reference, but it doesn't really work, since chickens and penguins are two different species.
Oh, oops! I guess that makes the scene where you sin Cody for almost saying the squid tastes like chicken doubly sinful. But then if you knew this was going to come up, then why didn't you delete that sin?
This is supposed to be fun.
My never-ending, always repeating thought for the entirety of this movie so far somehow makes it into the script.
Funny, I have the exact same thought in my head watching a CinemaSins video.
This is the most dangerous and dumb version of the accidental nature slide trope that I may have ever seen. That's freaking lava, dude. For the love of Mustafar, there's no chance they both survived this without at least one of them dying an excruciating molten death down here.
Well, since Lani's done this before, she at least knows the ins and outs of it. Plus, they both have the high ground here, Jeremy Kin.
The rumor is that Cody and Lani were nervous about this co-ed shower scene, so directors Ash Brannon and Chris Buck directed the scene naked in solidarity to show them it was no big deal.
Jeremy makes an inappropriate comment cliche. again.
Tube riding is the ultimate thing in surfing.
This fake penguin surfing documentary has made a sudden turn into an actual surfing documentary with CG penguins, and honestly, I wish it had been this the entire time.
Fake? This entire thing was a documentary by an independent company and occasional footage from SPEN news crews. It wasn't in any way fake. The only element that makes it fake is it's all an animated movie.
The movie is now aware of all the time it's wasting and has somehow hit its own fast-forward button. The sin here is that it waited this long to activate this technology.
Since this is part of the film, I won't make a gag about you speeding this up. But Jeremy thinks a time-lapse shot is the movie speeding itself up, while documentaries have this kind of thing everywhere. Even with the slow-mo shots.
And the director said, let's have Big Z trick him into putting acidic pineapples on his eyes, so we know he's a tropical asshole.
Nice switchblade on your catchphrase. But the reason here is probably just due to the fact that they don't have any cucumbers there. And Z is trying to help Cody find his center instead of rushing everything like he usually does.
Long, slow, smooth.
Like making the board.
Movie steals the chore training concept from Karate Kid. Although I'll give all the sins back if we get a crane kick later from an actual crane.
Inspiration, my guy. Not stealing. Many movies borrow and pay homage to movies and shows that came before, with jokes and references like this. Unlike lesser movies, which blatantly steal.
What could be better than this?
Lying in my bed that isn't nauseatingly shifting back and forth, where I'm not in danger of sunburn or having to wash sand and salt out of every orifice, and with a display device on my wall where I could watch literally thousands of hours of the greatest entertainment that's ever been created.
Jeremy doesn't sound like he'd do too well on a waterbed. Also, they're not asleep, they're just resting, and it's at sunset now. So sunburn won't be as much of a worry there, unlike at the highest UV index point of the day, being late morning or early afternoon. Also, remind me to tell you never to fall asleep in a cruise ship or dinghy, because if you get seasick this easily, you're cleaning it up yourself, bucko. Also, thousands of hours of the greatest entertainment ever created? You mean the thousands of movies and TV shows you've sinned? Or is this referencing your channel content?
So, poof. Big Z's dead.
So he faked his death on purpose, but he was still being pushed toward those jagged rocks by the wave. There's no way he could have known for sure he would survive that.
You probably didn't see him diving into the wave while his surfboard went over like the rest of us did. And you're supposed to be hyper-observant.
You don't like it, find your own way.
Of course, this newly formed relationship needs to be fractured to build tension for the third act, because God forbid characters actually work through their issues regarding loss and insecurity together. There's certainly no way to make a story like that interesting.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say here. Conflict happens for a reason. Cody hearing Big Z throwing in the towel like that instead of finding another way around it made him realize that no one is perfect, not even his heroes. He even talks about it with the doco crew afterwards, about how he already lost his dad, but now lost his mentor in a far worse way, even if Z still saw him surfing in the competition.
On a danger level 1 to 10, give me a number. 20.
20 is not located anywhere near from 1 to 10. Asshole.
Sure, he may be exaggerating this, but he's saying it's more dangerous out there than most people think.
Rob, after such a heavy wipeout earlier in the week, what do you think is going through Maverick's mind?
Why is everyone focusing on this random new surfer that got his butt kicked a few days ago in a lame side challenge? Do they know he's the movie's protagonist?
It's because he's a newbie in the competition, and they probably got shots of his training regimen. I mean, most new athletes to any sport will have more of a spotlight. Not as much as the most popular or established ones, but still a significant amount. I mean, look at Oscar Piastri in the F1 scene.
How's their camera getting the shot that isn't showing in this shot or this shot? I know, I've said I wasn't going to bring up the documentary cameras again. But this is a live sports broadcast, so technically these phantom cameras don't belong to the doc crew, and I'm clear to add a few more sins.
I told you he was going to bring it up again. But these cameras, possibly GoPros, may have belonged to the SPEN sportscasters, not the doco crew.
It looks like Evans is gonna take out the chicken!
Writers believe that the rules of a surf competition would somehow incentivize this kind of behavior to the extent that Bob Evans would actively...
Wait, ho, stop right there. What did you just say?
To the extent that Bob Evans...
Bob Evans? Dude, his name is Tank. How in the wobbly blue hell did you get that wrong? Also, yes, surfing is a sport. More accurately, a water sport. And it does have rules in terms of competition. The fact that you don't seem to know that and seem to misunderstand Tank's strategy of getting rid of other competitors, a la Chick Hicks from Cars, as him being a murderous psychopath. It's possible you might not understand that Tank was never about killing people, just trying to knock them off their boards so they won't compete anymore, and then moving to disqualify himself and Cody by surfing outside of the boundary lines.
Holding your surfing competition this close to certain death, that somehow doesn't kill either of these idiots.
Whoa, 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 whoa. You're calling them idiots when they were able to dart around the jagged rocks due to the fact that they know it could end their surfing career or their lives? Do you want them dead? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
Lonnie is conveniently the only lifeguard in this entire movie. Again, raising the question, does everyone on this beach want to die surfing?
No, they don't. They're daredevils. It's a thrill ride for them. And Lani's the only lifeguard because she's got a perfect record, as she mentions in her Talking Heads segment, before going to the news clipping about Big Z's final ride.
I can't believe it.
That now that you guys are together, the waves are completely still and the danger is completely gone? Yeah, me neither.
Objection, relevance.
Well, of course we're proud of him.
That's nice, but how about being worried, a little pissed, or any of the emotions that would convey that you care about the fact that he disappeared suddenly one day without notice?
Well, she probably knew she wasn't going to talk him out of it. And Glenn doesn't care. And as for suddenly disappearing, she probably had a feeling that this was going to result in him going to Pengu Island anyway to enter the surf competition. She probably was hoping to see him sooner rather than later, if at all, but it's obvious that she still cares about him. And with that, court is adjourned. Be sure to leave any recommendations for Cinema Sins down below, and I will see you in the next video.